Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the finale here in the Pro Touring Esports Championship, round 9 of 9. And you know what that means. Everything must come to an end at the end of this evening. And of course, we will see where all of those drivers shape up and, of course, find their final spots in this championship. My name is Ashley Denman, and I'm familiar as to why I'm the one introing everybody into this. It's because, unfortunately, Euron O'Leary unable to be here with us this evening, having a little bit of, well, a spot of bother, shall we say. So we wish him all the best, and unfortunately, yeah, not here. But either way, who we do have here right now, I can say, one of our championship contenders in Matt Richards. Matt Richards, welcome into the commentary booth here. Good evening, happy to have you here. Tell us, how is it feeling right now?
I'm pretty calm, to be honest. It's one of those things where it's such a big uphill battle that it's not worth being stressed about it. I've just got to do what I can do, and if Tom does better or good enough, then it is what it is.
I tell you what, you are way calmer than I was absolutely expecting you to be. But I guess that kind of is a great attrition to have, really, in the sense of things, Matt. So yeah, good to see that you are on top of things. I mean, any changes going into tonight? Of course, being the final round, you're at a points deficit, shall we say. How has your practicing been going for this evening?
Pretty much the same as usual, to be honest. Done the same setup. In terms of how we're doing the practice, like which format we're doing the practice in, and just working on what we can to make the car as quick as we possibly can. We know we're at a bit of a pace deficit with the Civics, just as it is. It's maybe a choice that we made wrong at the start of the season, but it's the choice that we made, so we've got to live with it. So yeah, just nothing really any different. Just go into it and just do the best that I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how are you feeling with your chances tonight for this championship? Do you think the fight is on? Of course, 40 points is quite some margin to close in. How confident are you feeling about that?
I feel pretty quick in the car, but it's one of those things where the deficit is so big that the scoring chances in touring cars is so tight that for anything to be possible for me to happen, I need something kind of drastically wrong for Tom. So as long as I'm doing the best that I can, that's all I can do. If anything happens to him, then it is what it is. But that's just the position that I'm in, really. It's been a tough season, and the whole credit where credit's due. He's made everything of the chances that he's been given. So
Certainly has. He's got 11 wins to his name. Let's take a look at the team side of things then quickly here, Matt. Of course, Rafa Racing, they are at the top. They have got a nice little point gap there as well. I believe it is 25 off the top of my dome. What are you and the team doing here this evening to try and cement that championship at least?
anything that's probably our main focus is cementing that team's championship. It's been the goal for us for the whole season. We've held it from the very first race of the season, and we've got half our hand on it at the moment. The Rafa boys have done a stellar job to catch up. They've put the work in, took the opportunities when I've had issues being lower down the field, and we've struggled a little bit. So yeah, that's our main focus, is just to come away with the team's championship, to be honest.
Yeah, understandably so as well, Matt. But I'll tell you what, I'll keep it short and sweet so that I can let you get into the qualifying session itself and get some laps in there. Hope to see you do another lap fly as we got a car on track just doing absolute barrel rolls down the straight there. But thanks for being here, Matt, and good luck for this evening.
No problem at all. Thank you very much. What's the bets for the pole lap? What do you guys want to see?
Time-wise or just who's on it?
Time-wise.
To be honest, I couldn't tell you right this second. If I have a quick look at the practice, though, it's looking like a 1:27 is the top times at the moment. Oh, I've got Rich telling me a 27:1.
Okay. It's a bit quicker than I would have thought. I'd have said a 27:3 or 27:4.
Well, let's see if you can break it either way.
We'll see.
Right, lovely. Good luck, Matt. Thanks
Cheers.
for joining us. Lovely. Well, Matt Richards there, of course, in with the driver's shout still. and of course more likely I think will be the teams, as we'll get in our current championship leader. 40-point gap in his favour. Tom Stevens here, everybody. Tom, how are you feeling this evening coming into this one?
I'm feeling pumped, ready to go. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. You seem a lot more energetic about it. Matt was very calm, more calm than I was expecting. I don't know if that plays into anything for you going into this one?
No, I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. I'm going to treat this race just like any other race this season. There's quite a comfortable buffer, so I'm just going to go out there, maximise my own score, see what I can do. The only thing I'll do differently is I'll try and be a bit more careful or mindful on track, because the last thing I want is to be caught up in an incident or get a penalty, because yeah, that would just impact my my standing. So yeah, I'm just going to go out there, give it everything, and it's not just the Drivers' Championship I've got on my mind. I know Rafa, we have a shot at the teams as well, so literally just going to go out there, try to maximise it.
You certainly do. You've read my mind in that as well. Rafa Racing, I mean, since the start of 2026, the team and yourself really have just been on absolute flying form. Was there any changes over the winter period that enabled that?
I mean, heading into the championship, I wasn't really too sure what to expect entirely, and we did the first 2 rounds. Unfortunately, I missed the opening race at Donington, but I settled in at Croft, and then as soon as it turned to this year, we cobbled up a good setup, and it's worked pretty much everywhere. The teamwork has been amazing. I've got to thank Luke and Scott a lot. We've got a real good, well-oiled machine going on behind the scenes, and it's really paid off in the results. So yeah, we're going to bring a challenge today.
Certainly looks it. I mean, I think the Drivers' Championship, of course, Tom, as you know, 40 points going in. You don't need a lot to take that one home. The teams, though, you are 25 back. What's the strategy this evening here for the team? Of course, it's finish as best you can, but is there any extra prep that has gone into that?
I mean, kind of all we have to do is just go out there, just maximise our own results like any other race. There's not really too much else we can do. So there will be, I guess, a bit of an emphasis on, I don't know, trying to get my own Drivers' Championship first, but race 1, let's see how that goes, and the rest of it is just, yeah, we work together as a team. But I am mindful that I think a few of the PMR guys, they have weight in race 1, so that could play into our hands.
Certainly could do well. As I think most people tend to say, just take it race by race and see where you end up, of course. But I will let you go, Tom. I don't want to keep you forever because I'm aware qualifying is underway and you need to get in there. So I will say good luck, as well as I did to Matt. And yeah, I hope forward to a good race this evening.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Lovely. Cheers, Tom. Thanks for being here. Well, there we go. We've heard from both of our championship contenders now in Tom Stevens and Matt Richards. And of course, in the team side of things, they're both vying for that as well with their teammates. But it's starting to be looking like it's going to shape up and be a fantastic showdown, no doubt about it. Well, I tell you what, why don't we look at the overall standings then in general? We'll start with the drivers, and Tom Stevens, Matt Richards, there you are, 1, 2, 325 and 295 respectively. Third place goes to Fraser Hart, with 4th being Chris Gravett, and 5th there is Luke Mitra. I believe he may have popped up in the last week. 6th is going to be Jordan Richardson, 7 Callum Wilson. Cido Vea is picking up that 8th and still holding that trophy. 9th is Scott Mitchell-Marm, and 10th is Alan Axon. As we jump over to the team standings, and there you can see it as well. 25 separates Powered Max Racing and Rafa Racing here. It's going to be some challenge to turn that one over, with Brabham Motorsport there in 3rd, SimSport UK 4th, and Unlimited Esports 5th. All picking up a good sizable chunk of points throughout their campaigns respectively. So you can see now how close it really is at the sharp end of things. Not too much going on in the way of differing positions further down, but of course every point matters, and all the drivers will be doing their darndest and bestest that they can throughout this race, and of course they have done throughout this season as well. Speaking of the championships, what does it mean for the drivers out there? It's all well and good and giving yourself bragging rights being at the top of it, but what do they earn? As I can give you a bit of a lowdown on what that does mean for each and every one of them. We have a complete prize pool of 750 British pounds. That is some prize pool. I can tell you that in terms of the esport world. First place in the drivers, they gain £150. So Tom Stevens eyeing that one up rather nicely. Second place is going to be 130, with third picking up £110 as well. So that top three, it really is a nice prize pool to be looking at. Fourth place is 90, and fifth place picks up £70 as well. So that top five of the drivers taking home some lovely prize money. Teams Championship. So this still does matter, of course, for Rafa Racing and Powered Max Racing. The team will take home £100 in total as well, depending on who comes out on top there. And then the trophy, I'm just referring to it as the trophy, but it is effectively the highest point scorer without a podium currently, and has been held, I'm pretty sure, since round number 1 by Cido Vaya. That will bring him home £50 should he hold onto it. And so far, it doesn't look like he's been challenging for too many podiums, but you can see they're currently 8th position at the moment, so still not quite at the sharp end challenging for that, but it is Cido Vea. We know what he can do. And we do have driver awards. Now, this is a bit of not an odd one, but what it does is it promotes the drivers to really go for that safe racing style, the sportsman etiquette, shall we say. And the drivers, I can give you the list down of them as well. They will get thrown into a prize pool at the end, should they pick up no more than 2 license points. I can tell you the current contenders for that are Alan Axon, Tom Stevens, Cido Vaya, Luke Mitchell, Fraser Hart, Callum Wilson, Chris Gravett, Jordan Richardson, Simon Trebek, and Alan Axon. And 2 of them, should they pick up no more points by the end of this round, entered in, and they can win a lovely button box themselves. So really is some fantastic prizes up for grabs. And of course, that is all still being fought for, as we've got 9 minutes left in qualifying. They've all done some preliminary runs, I believe, or at least the end of practice. We saw roughly what the sort of pace is. 1:27 looks to be the fastest of them out there. As now we get into the nitty gritty, see where this grid is going to shake down. 20 cars out there this evening. They're currently on the timing tower. I'm seeing here 23 in total. So it's going to be a pretty packed Brands Hatch Grand Prix layout. Of course, we were here 2 weeks ago for the Indy. A little bit longer this time around. Does provide a few more overtaking opportunities, which is the nice thing. 2.4 miles, just under 4 kilometers, 10 corners instead of the 8. So it doesn't sound like a whole lot more. But a dart into the woods, and there is a few more heavy braking zones to give them an opportunity to sneak on by. We're riding on board currently here with Chris Gravett, 7th position, but no times have been set there in this quali so far, so we'll see where they all end up. Jordan Richardson also going purple now in that first sector, and this is the point, yeah, where we differed from last time out. He's gone off down into the woods and towards the Hawthorns, this tricky right-hander, and then Westfields, which I've been told by Chris, you can flip and roll the car, so definitely going to be a corner to keep an eye on when they go racing at full throttle. Dingledale and round towards Sheen Curve and then Stirlings. This is a good chance to try and sneak a car down the inside. Tends to be heavy enough of a braking zone at least. And then final corner, Clark Curve, with an all-important exit as it brings you on to the Brabham Straight. Somewhat of a straight, it has got a curve to it, but you're flat out along there. As Gravett posts the first time of the session, it's immediately beaten by Richardson and Richards. Then he drops down there to third. So Matt Richards currently provisional pole with the first runs of the session. 1:27.5. We heard him earlier. what he was sort of thinking, what we were thinking, I guess, the pole time could have been. And Rich, the lovely chap behind the camera, making sure it all runs smoothly, and of course brings you this fantastic championship itself as well. 27-1 is his prediction. I think Matt Richards was struggling to think that that was possible, but who knows? Been told in my ear as well, and this could be a blow for Rafa Racing. Scott Mitchell-Marm having wheel problems, might not make qualifying, and if that is the case, he's going to start all the way down at the back, of course. I don't believe it is entirely last place, because we do have one driver out there having to serve a qualifying ban in Carlo Messina, hence why he's still in pit lane and not venturing onto the circuit. But either way, down at the back of the field, if he can't make it in, and that's going to be a huge blow for Rafa Racing right off the bat, making it just a little bit trickier then to try and take that team's championship home. Simon Trebek, 11th currently. 1.5 seconds back from Matt Richards. I'd imagine this will be an improvement. His fastest first sector is a decent middle one, although a bit slower than maybe where he was wanting. Does make an improvement, goes to 8th. Only 8 tenths then off of Richards now, as Yaroslav Fides rounding that final corner. P15 currently. Where can he stick his car? It's actually dropped to 16th and made no improvements, and that's where he stays, as we are going to jump over to Fraser Hart, 3rd in the championship, purple in the first sector, as he's making his way up towards Hawthorns. Let's see what his middle sector is going to be like. Is it going to be a purple or a green? Let's find out. I believe the timing line is coming up very, very soon, as Matt Richards is going ever faster at the front. He's now set purple sector 1. Fraser Hart fastest in sector 2 there. Only 1 sector to go. This looks like it could be a pretty fast lap here from Fraser. Let's see what he's got. Last corner and now up the line. Let's see where he can put that car. Over he goes. Fraser Hart, where has he stuck it? Right at the front. 2 tenths clear of Matt Richards. That's a fantastic lap there from Fraser, and already into the 27.2s. And we're getting ever closer to Rich's prediction of a 27.1. I think he could have been on to something there. Tom Stevens has also put in a brilliant lap time. He jumps up into that front row, 2nd position. Here comes Matt Richards though. Purple first sector, purple middle sector. What has he got in this final sector then? Over the line goes Matt Richards. Oh, it's not enough. It's 1,000th of a second behind Fraser Hart. Not going to be pole position there for the time being, but he's still got time on the clock. There can still be some improvements to find. Cedo Via, 8th position on an improving lap by the looks of things. Although that didn't look too clean as he made his way through curve. It back up to the inside though, nice and neatly either way. Does find a bit of time, but only good for 1 extra spot ahead of Callum Wilson. And here is Callum Wilson then, through Sheen curve and now into Stirling's. Also on a pretty decent lap for Callum. Only 1 proper corner to go. You saw a bit of dirt fly up as he stuck a wheel in the grass. That looked pretty good for using all the track he dares. Over the line now. Callum Wilson currently 8th. What can he do? Takes that position right back from Zido and says, thank you very much. I will hang on to 7th. Darren Wright, currently 21st. And as I always ask every week from the drivers in what their thoughts are for the circuit, or indeed just in general. And He gave me a little bit of his life story, if I'm being honest, but I don't mind that one bit because it was lovely to have a little read. Sounds like he's been working a lot on his house crack day car. He's saying he should have got into the hobby 10 years ago. I think he's referring to sim racing there. But either way, celebrated his 48th birthday and seems to be loving life. Crosses the line, no improvement though for him at the moment. Still down there in 21st. Only 1 minute left. A lot of cars out on circuit. Chris Gravett being one of them that we're riding on board with here. Currently 5th and improving in Sector 1, but so are a lot of the other drivers out on circuit. Through Sector 2, another green sector for Chris Gravett. How much of an improvement is this going to be for him? 1 corner left, Clark Curve. It's looking neat and tidy so far. Up to the line, what has he got? Chris Gravett, 5th, potentially going 4th fastest. As this is now Tom Stevens, championship leader, champion-elect, on an improving run. Is it going to be good enough, though? I don't think you can separate the top 2. There's nothing between them. Tom Stevens makes an improvement, but not in his position, just in time. Stays 3rd fastest. As we jump back to Alessandro Cappa, I think Fraser Hart may have sewn this one up. The checkered flag has fallen. Has anybody got a lap in them to try and upset this? And Sterling's goes Cappa. It's not a brilliant middle sector for him, but maybe still some time to be found to find that last minute improvement. We have seen Scott Mutchaman there, has made it in. He's 9th fastest, so not all is lost for Rafa Racing. Cappa up to the line. Is it a good lap for him? It's an improvement, goes up to 10th. Maybe he was looking for more. Alan Smith then. Good first sector, good middle sector. Was his last one good as well? It was all right. Gets him in 11th, few positions gained. Here we are, Cedar Way, Brabham Motorsport. Also on a fast lap. Probably going to be the last car out there, although I say that. Alan Axon is also out there as well. Is it going to be an improvement for Weyer? 8th fastest currently. Up to the line. What's he got? Jumps to 5th. That's going to push down the likes of Richardson and a few of the Power Max guys. Not what they were needing. Axon doesn't improve. Stays 14th. Shame for him there. He was looking like he had a decent first and second sector, but clearly just got things muddled in that final part. Well. Final round, and Fraser Hart takes pole position. Matt Richards is going to keep him company there, and only back by 1,000th of a second. That's how close it is between these guys. Tom Stevens 3rd, with Chris Gravett 4th. Then we get to Cedar Vaya, Jordan Richardson, Luke Mitchell, Callum Wilson, Scott Mitchell-Marm, and Alessandro Cappa in 10th. Alan Smith will start the back 10 in 11th, with Kyle Benton and Simon Trebek not far behind. Alan Axon and Fabian Michelon 14th and 15th, with Stuart Rolfe there in 16th. Alexander Saraima is 17th, with Jordan Hyde keeping him company there for 18th, with Dave Brewster and Yaroslav Fides rounding out that top 20. Darren Wright couldn't find the improvement in the end. He stays 21st, with Olivia Krasnowska in 22nd. And then we get to Carlo Messina serving his qualifying ban, and Matt Williams not setting a time. I don't believe he had any qualifying ban, but he has got a pit lane start. So that could have been the reason for not bothering with qualifying, because he's going to have to go from the pit lane regardless. Well, now we've got a little bit of a warm-up for these guys out there as they get their eye in. Not that they already haven't in qualifying, but just doubly so to make sure that they're fully warm and capable and ready to go for this final round. I say that it's the first round of 3, but it's the final round of the season. Phoenix Sim Motorsport. Yes, please, everyone gives us a thumbs up in the stream, as yeah, we do greatly appreciate it. I couldn't agree more, Sim Sport. Thank you very much. Certainly going to be an interesting twist to this tale tonight. I can feel it in my bones for some reason. Not sure which one it's going to be. I would imagine it's the drivers if it's going to be anything. Not the drivers, sorry, the teams if it's going to be anything. Tom Stevens, of course, with a commanding lead of 40 points. And with 64 up for grabs in total. Make that 63 now because Fraser Hart took one away with the pole position. All he has to do is outscore Matt Richards by, I believe, 2 points. And then it is mathematically impossible for Matt. Nice quick little practice start there for Stevens. Seemed pretty good. But as we saw from a couple of weeks ago, doesn't mean everything heading into that Paddock Hill bend for the first time. Such a tricky first corner, really, when you think about it. Of course, it's a bit off camber if you go a bit too far to the left-hand side. And of course, you're immediately greeted by a massive gravel trap. So if you get it wrong, you're going to get it wrong big time. Quite surprised, both the championship contenders, they seem very calm when we're talking to them earlier. But I guess that's a testament to potentially how often they are in that position. Of course, we know Matt Richards is a very accomplished esport touring car driver. Tom Stevens, I think he does some real world racing as well, but again, he's very competitively competent in these touring cars on an esport platform. So clearly no strangers to being in that sort of position. We've got about, it's not going to be 7 minutes as of now, but it won't be too long. We'll be getting ready for the first race of the evening. They have got a 7-minute warm-up period, but if they're all ready to rock and roll, they tend to start that a little bit sooner. Whilst we're waiting there, as I'm being told, roughly 20 seconds until we're getting going. Ballast for race number 1. It's been a hot topic throughout the series because we were unsure as I believe that was Alan Smith going on 2 wheels through Druids. Not often that you see that happening. Just about saved it though. But yeah, hot topic of conversation throughout the season has been the ballast. Not sure really whether it made a difference or not. I think we're in a bit up in arms about that one, but it still is going to be applied regardless. We've been doing it all season long, so for one last time, let's have at it. For race number 1 here, we've got Callum Wilson and Jordan Richardson, 2 of the Power Max guys, or I better double check my logic on that one because I think Callum Wilson may even be one of the Rafa guys, but I'm pretty sure it was Mitchell. It is Mitchell. They're both called Callum, isn't it? So it just confuses me. Callum Wilson and Jordan Richardson, both Power Max, are going to have some ballast on board, but Luke Mitchell does as well. He's there for 3rd. Chris Gravett and Matt Richards as well. In that order, top to bottom, 50 to 10 kilograms added to their car. Hasn't made too much of a difference. I think there was only one real circuit from memory where it did make a little bit of a trickier situation. I think even last week actually was being one of them, and the tyre wear situation. But I've been informed by Chris Gravett this evening that shouldn't be too much of a problem in regards to tyre and battery for these cars. So hopefully they should all get through relatively unscathed. So it's just about whether that ballast really does make a difference in performance for these guys for the opening round here this evening, as they're off and underway for their warm-up lap. Fraser Hart leading the way for the first time, I think, in a fairly long time, maybe even before the new year. I think the last time he was on pole position. do have to actually venture back all the way to round number 1. It's a shame for Fraser. You're probably looking at the campaign after the first few rounds as a championship contender, but I don't know what happened. It just sort of fell apart a bit in the middle, and he seems to have made a bit of a resurgence here at the end, and of course he stuck it right at the top before the final round, so brilliant to see him back on fighting form. Matt Richards, Tom Stevens there, Chris Gravett, that top 4. Fairly common top 4 this season, I would argue as well. Couldn't think of a better place to end the season though than Brands Hatch Grand Prix, particularly with these touring cars. Of course they do it in the real life series as well, but even here in an esports setting, and it doesn't even have to be touring car, I think it's just a fantastic circuit regardless. It is an old school layout, of course, opened back in all the way in 1950, originally built for bikes, but of course the 4 wheels took over fairly quickly. And it is surrounded by grass and gravel, and so it really does punish you if you make that error, which I think it should. You shouldn't get the big tarmac runoffs. But either way, here they come now, up to the starting blocks as they pull into position. Fraser Hart angling it there a little bit to the left. That's quite an interesting strategy. I would have thought you'd have gone fairly straight. Chris Gravett seemed to aim it a little bit to the right, clearly wanting to go for a gap when he gets there. I reckon that was Alessandro Capra a bit out of spot there, making his way through the middle into his slot as well, rather nicely. And Carlo Messina has now lined up at the back as well. So here we go then. Race number 1 of 3 for the final round, and they are underway then. Fraser Hart with a pretty decent getaway ahead of Matt Richards as he slots in behind to make it 1, 2, 3 there at the front. As now Tom Stevens is going to have a look down the inside into the first corner. Nothing came of it. He's now going to have to look in his rear view mirror. Chris Gravett getting up close. Matt Richards going for the lead into Druids of turn number 2. Fraser Hart putting up a fight. They're banging doors all the way down to Graham Hill Bend. Fraser Hart back through, hangs on to the lead just for a moment, but that's the old switcheroo there from Matt Richards. Can he go down the inside? Yes, he can. Can Tom Stevens follow? Yes, he can. And Fraser Hart goes from first to third, just like that, in a matter of 2 corners and a straight. Matt Richards now leading then in this race, as here comes Tom Stevens then looking for it down towards Hawthorns. This is a battle going on further back between the Power Mats and the Rafa boys. Everything matters here this evening. Stevens is in the lead. Richards is coming back through though in towards Dingledale now, as that was Stevens wide, 2 wide. He's allowed Hart and Gravett through, and he's under threat from fire behind. Richardson is still ahead of Luke Mitchell as well in this opening lap. And is that Kyle Benton? Yes, it is. Getting in and amongst it there at the back of the top 10. Alessandro Capra, he's going side by side with Wilson and Mitchell, and makes his way through as well for 8th spot. Very nice position. Or is it too wide, says Callum Wilson. He's going to try and sneak back up the inside, or he's going to try and hug him up tight. A little bit of door banging. Carl Benton's going to try and sneak through with this one. Has he done that? Yes, he has. Carl Benton, ever the opportunist, down the inside. His race starts have been impeccable this evening. Well, this season as well. Carl Benton up to 9th spot. He's gained 3 from the start. So is Alessandro, Capra, Trebek as well. Stuart Rolfe up 4 also. Brilliant start from him there. As we're back at the front, this is Stevens and Hart. A little bit of contact. I'd say okay though, they're all still going in the right direction, and no way through there for Cedo Vaya. He's boxed in from Stevens and Gravett alongside. This is going to be 2 cars wide as they make their way through Hawthorns. Very tricky part of the circuit to do so. And Luke Mitchell there and Chris Gravett, they're looking to pick up the pieces. What an opening lap and a half we have just had. Things, I think, are finally starting to settle down as Chris Gravett off into the gravel and the barrier. That looked like a wheel disconnect. It looked like he didn't even try to attempt the corner. He's off. He's falling down the field. And I think that's race over there for Chris Gravett. Such a shame. He's been looking strong all season and even this evening in the practice and the quali, as cars are still vying for position. They've not stopped. They are not giving up on anything yet. We're only a few minutes into this race, as that's one of the Unlimited Esport cars. That's Simon Trebek off into the gravel as well, and dropping down the order. I don't think he had quite a bigger hit as Chris Gravett did, but either way, further down. And let's have a look then. This is a replay we're going to get of Chris Gravett when we get it. We'll keep an eye on it. We may get it in a few short moments, fellas. Either way, we've still got action to be seen up and down the field. Tom Stevens, he's lost out from that early on advantage he had. He got up to first at one point. He's now down to third again. And this is exactly what Matt Richards needs to keep this championship alive for another race at least. Matt Richards' fastest lap, and he's 2 positions in front of Tom Stevens. This is the replay then. Chris Gravett, what happened here? Through Dingledale, all looking good, up towards Sheen Curve. And that definitely looks like a wheel disconnect to me. Just doesn't make the corner at all. That is a rather odd incident there. I'd love to know what everyone thinks in the chat. To me, it looked like a wheel disconnect. Just went straight. This is Kyle Benton then with Alessandro Cappa right up behind him. Benton has now found his way up to 8th position with an absolutely fantastic start here. I'll tell you who's definitely trumping him though, if we're going to play a game with top trumps like that, is Jordan Hyde. He's up to 10th. He's gained 8 spots in these opening laps. What an absolute run there from Jordan Hyde. Fantastic stuff. He's got a few spots in front of him still if he can pick them up as well. That would be insane if he could do that. Steve Phoenix in the chat thinks it could have been snap oversteer for Chris Gravett. And he is still in this race, so maybe you're right, and maybe my theory is completely bogus, as wide there goes Carl Benton and Capper. And Hyde couldn't capitalise on it. They both made their way back onto the circuit safely. There's a bit further back there. That's Dave Brewster also gaining a chunk of positions here in the opening few laps. Capper trying left, right. He doesn't know where to go, bless him. He's looking every direction to try and get past Kyle Benton, as we've got a yellow flag out somewhere around the circuit. You don't normally look to go around the outside into Paddock Hill Bend, but he's having a little look-see. If anyone can do it, it's Capper, but Benton, he knows where to place that car. He's defending with his life to keep hold of that 8th spot, as this is now the chance for Hyde. Capper's had to go wide from the defensive line of Benton. Capper's still there on the inside. Hyde nowhere to go, and now here comes Stuart Rolfe then to try and sneak up down the inside. Maybe Scott Mitchell-Marm as well, try and improve his start because he's lost positions from it. Up he goes. He has managed to get a position, so has Rolfe, and Hyde has dropped 3. Michelon has also found his way through, as they're still vying for position here in the middle of the pack. No hold bars race from these guys, as is evident, giving it everything, and that is exactly what we came here to see. Matt Richards has a 1-second advantage over the now Tom Stevens, who has found his way past Fraser Hart. Fraser Hart's still in it though. Nothing really separating those two. If we get a little get back to Cedo Via, who's having a very good race here at the start. 4th position ahead of Richardson and Luke Mitchell. Riding on board with Luke Mitchell here, trying to have a look around the outside of Druids. Not normally an overtaking spot on that side of the circuit, and wasn't on this occasion either. I was going to say maybe we'll get a breather, but here we go. Rich has found the action, and there is no breather to be had because it's all kicking off once again. That is Benton and Kappa. That, I think, might have been a bit too much there from Kyle Benton. Forces Kappa onto the grass, loses a chunk of positions because of it as well. He's going to probably lose another one here to Dave Brewster unless he can keep it down the inside. Brewster from the grass! Almost lost control. He has lost control. Through the gravel goes Dave Brewster. Keeps it running. Joins the circuit again, but definitely lost some positions. Down in 17th now. Rolf has found his way up into 9th spot. 7 positions gained from his starting blocks. He's having a fantastic run of it. Seems to have overcome the engine problems that we have seen a few times from him. Doing well, building up a little bit of a gap there to Michelin now. 6/10, but sometimes that can be enough. This is the battle though, right back at the front between our championship rivals. Matt Richards still leading from Tom Stevens, but the gap has drastically closed in less than a lap. It was a second, it's now only a couple of tenths between them. Stevens certainly looking the more aggressive of the two here at the opener. He's going to have to try and do it the long way. Richards going to show him where the edge of the circuit is. And all just about in the confines of the limits of racing. He's going to make Stevens go down the inside and take a tighter line. Can he hang on to it around the outside there of Hawthorne and Dingledale? Still going to be side by side as they come up to Sheen Curve. They're still going side by side. Now we're getting to Sterling's, turn number 9. No one giving an inch. Tom Stevens, though, seems to have found the run. Clips the grass, and this allows Matt Richards back. Still side by side. Clark Curve. And finally, they have sorted it out amongst themselves. Stevens retakes the lead from Matt Richards. But he is all over the rear bumper there. Can he see a move into Paddock Hill Bend? Quite takes to the grass, and look at the overspeed here. Richards then up to Druids, tried to look at the inside, but Tom Stevens, wise to it, defends nicely. That, I can tell you, is your top 8 in shot, or top 7 at least, sorry. And you do get a bit of a gap back to Scott Mitchell-Marmer. That's because he had to fight his way back through the field. There he is. You can see him at the front of your screen now. And that is Stuart Rolfe there for 9th. And this is Carl Benton and Fabien Michelin, 10th and 11th. Benton back up to 10th position. Michelin trying to have a little look. These guys, they've not got a lot of camera time throughout the season. That was as late as you want to do it, Carl Benton. I think he'll get away with that. These guys haven't had a lot of camera time, shall we say, throughout this season, but for the final time, they are really giving us all the excitement at the moment. Slowly beginning to fan out. That was Benton off there as well. That should allow Michelin back through, but we're going to jump forward here because Stevens has opened a gap and Richards is now under pressure from Fraser Hart behind. If any of this goes wrong, Cito Vea is there to pounce, and that would mean a podium as well. We may see that trophy go elsewhere at this final round. Could happen. I've seen crazier things. A bit of a bump there from Fraser Hart. Little love tap. No harm, no foul in that though. As Fabien Michelin is in the pits, I wonder what has happened there to him. Saw Benton go wide a lap ago. I would have thought Michelin would have had it easy to just breeze on through, but we now see him in pit lane, so who knows. battle here, though, still raging on as Tom Stevens is starting to open up a little bit of a larger buffer. 1.2 seconds is the gap, and that's probably mainly down to the fact that Matt Richards is really having to defend hard here in his Honda Civic from Fraser Hart. Here's the chance for Hart then. Brabham Motorsport car, can he go all the way around the outside of turn 1? Not quite. What about Druids? Matt Richards going to go defensive as you would expect. Still no way through for Fraser Hart. For Matt Richards though, I wouldn't say it's all in vain because he's still got the team to look at, but if Stevens beats him in any capacity here, that is Drivers' Championship over. And the gap now, 2 seconds between Stevens and Richards. As here comes Luke Mitchell from the shadow of Jordan Richardson. He's got half a car length ahead as he makes his way into Hawthorne. Pretty dangerous trying to go round the outside of that corner, but making it work so far. Still side by side then as they make their way into the next corner towards Dingledale now. And yes, Luke Mitchell has got ahead of Jordan Richardson. That could also be crucial for the Rafa team. They need to be outscoring the Power Max Racing team. And Fraser Hart could potentially be helping that happen if he can make his way past Matt Richards. Nothing separating these two as the gap in front is just opening larger and larger. It's 3 seconds now. There or thereabouts at least, as that's a dip in the gravel there for Richards. That's going to open up and invite some pressure then from Hart behind, but not the ideal corner for it to happen at, because Druids is quite easy to defend. And as you can see there from Matt Richards doing it marvellously. Jump further back once again. Chris Gravett here, 15th position, looking to go the long way around Matt Williams, who's also having a fantastic start to this evening. He's up 10 spots there in 14th currently. I wonder how long he can keep it though from Chris Gravett. Chris Gravett definitely got a lot of speed. Oh, he had a lot of courage there to attempt into Surtees. No way by just yet. Matt Richards still defending from Fraser Hart. This is the closest I think Hart has been through Sterling's and now towards Clark Corner. He just needs to sit in the wheel tracks of Matt Richards and just try and duck down to the inside before he can to see if he can get that inside line. Not close enough to do so. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer. As they bump bumpers once again. Here comes Fraser Hart. He's going to have to do it the long way if he wants it. Side by side, under braking. Richards a half a car length still ahead. And at the apex, a full car ahead. Defending incredibly well is Matt Richards. We heard him in his in the short interview he had with him that Honda Civic has not been the car of choice. Sorry, not the Honda Civic. I'm trying to work out what car he actually is driving. Apologies out there, but the car choice that they chose, it's not really been the one that they were expecting it to be. I think they've been struggling with a lack of pace on the straights and having to supplement that with a lot of battery use when doing so. But even so, Matt Richards' campaign has really been something. A bit further back here, Stuart Rolfe still holding ninth from Benton, Hyde and Kappa. These guys have been inseparable all race long. We've just got over 4 minutes left in this first one. Not quite sure where the previous 18 minutes has gone. But they've been chopping and changing all race long. Back at the front, still Hart struggling to find the move past Matt Richards as that gap just ever widening between himself and Tom Stevens. Hart tries to go to the inside. Richards covers him off. Still no way through, and now Wyatt is having to look in his rear view mirrors because he's got Luke Mitchell keeping him very close for company, with the two Power Max teams in Richardson and Wilson lurking behind as well. I think we really need to try and get ahead of Luke Mitchell as a minimum, as it's all kicking off here. That's Rolf off into the grass. Benton's through. Hyde is through. Can Kappa find a way past Stuart Rolf as well? Not quite just yet. Just you look away for a brief moment, a blink of an eye, you come back and it's a completely different order. Carl Benton back up to 9th though. As they make their way up Hawthorne Bend. Around the back part of the circuit, real fast flowing technical part of the course, as that's Kappa having a little look. Has he got enough there? I think he has done. Stuart Rolf not giving it up though. He's now back ahead, just about before they got to Sheen Curve. Stuart Rolf ahead. Will we see Kappa send the lunge into Sterling? No. Has to wait, but clearly able to carry more speed out of the corners. And that's where Stuart Rolf is looking vulnerable here at the second. Every bit of tarmac available. As here we go, battle at the front, 2 minutes left and it's about to kick off. Cedar Via just about defending from Luke Mitchell, as that's Richardson and Mitchell door banging their way through Graham Hill Bend, now towards Surtees. Then this is from 2nd all the way down to 7th position, and in all honesty it could end up any way round with these guys. One small error, one lapse of concentration, and the position could be up for grabs. There's the Honda of Via, still defending then into Hawthorne Bend. Felt like he needed to take that defensive approach, and again looking at it. Dingledale, single file through here pretty much. You don't often see it side by side, but we have seen it a couple times this evening. Mitchell unable to find a way through thus far. Stevens has darted off down the road and he's got an 8-second advantage. There is no looking back for Tom. I think that very much sums up his 2026 right there with that gap. Ever since we got to the new year, Rafa Racing and Tom Stevens as well. He was quick before the new year, but into the new year, they have just been on fine form and really have been doing the business. As we are on, I would imagine, the last lap. I'm trying to work out how far Tom Stevens was around when he started it, but I think this is going to be it for them. Benton still holding on to 9th from Jordan Hyde, and Rolf is still there 11th ahead of Alessandro Kappa. That could change at a moment's notice as well. Here we go though, we'll jump on board with him, and why wouldn't we? Because he has been exceptional. Only a few more corners to go now for Tom Stevens, and then he can breathe the biggest sigh of relief. He's probably calm and comfortable in that cockpit already. As the clock ticks 0, the checkered flag will be out, and it's one corner left for Tom Stevens. And when he rounds it and gets to that checkered flag, he's going to have the biggest grin on his face, because Tom Stevens, up to the line now, you are 2026 Pro Touring Esports Champion with that performance. Fantastic stuff from Tom Stevens and Rafa Racing. Matt Richards holds on to 2nd spot there from Fraser Hart, but it's not going to be enough. The points deficit will be too much then coming into the final 2 races. And wow, what a championship we have had there for the drivers. Carl Benton's going to come home 9th, Jordan Hyde 10th. This battle here is going on still a bit further back. This is Chris Gravett and Williams then up to the line. There's a drag strip. Williams is, oh, he's just lost it. Lost it at the line. Gravett sneaks through, and he'll take 13th. As we get Trebek and Axon further back And Krashenovska, 18th, but finishing this race, unfortunately not in the points. As this is, I believe, the first time this evening we've seen the car on screen for her. They can't all be the quickest out there, and of course that is what you aim to be, but still a talent nonetheless. I can tell you now what they do, and particularly even the guys a bit further down the order, the pace that they have, it really is something I can't even match it. I don't consider myself a slouch, but they it just shows you the top really are the creme de la creme, as we'll get a hold of the race standings. All we know is Tom Stevens is your winner and he is your champion. Congratulations to him there. Matt Richards will come home in second and Fraser Hart third. Funny enough, that is your top three. Cedo Vea is going to come home in fourth with Luke Mitchell fifth. Sixth is Callum Wilson, Jordan Richardson seventh, and Scott Mitchell-Marm eighth, Kyle Benton ninth, and Jordan Hyde 10th. He had a fantastic race here this evening. Stuart Rolfe 11th with Alessandro Capper in 12th, and Chris Gravett, he managed to recover all the way back to 13th. That was a mighty impressive stint from him. Matthew Williams is 14th with Dave Brewster 15th. Simon Trebek recovered a little bit back to 16th with Alan Axon there, his teammate in 17th. Olivia Krashenovska we saw across the line in 18th, and Alan Smith 19th with Yaroslav Fides 20th. Carlo Messina 21st, and then Darren Wright, Fabian Michelon, and Alexander Saraima did not finish. Well, round one done and dusted for the evening here. And yeah, biggest talking point, of course, will be Tom Stevens picking up that Drivers' Championship. He can now just race for fun here for the final two rounds this evening. Of course, it's still all for pride at the same time. But when you look at his season, of course, he missed round one at Donington, immediately onto the back foot, which is not an ideal spot to be in. But my word, when he came back into this, or when he got into this championship, his form was just phenomenal. After Croft of round two, you might have had your doubts, but by round three at Thruxton, we knew we had someone, I think, quite special there in that he finished second race one, first in race two for Thruxton this is, and then for race number three with the reverse grid, he still climbed all the way back up to fifth. And even then, from the new year at Silverstone, there was just no touching him. Back-to-back wins week after week. And yeah, he really is a deserving champion. No discredit, of course, to Matt Richards. We honestly thought there was no catching him by the time we got to the new year. But bit by bit, as you saw at the very start of this broadcast, you saw how the championship unfolded briefly week on week. And yeah, that lead kept getting eaten into. And with a few mistakes here and there, Tom Stevens, of course, has pounced and has done the business. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Congratulations to all there. But we've still got a fight on our hand. Those final spots there, actually, for fourth and fifth, prize points, or I should say prize giving positions, that is still up for grabs. Because we have Chris Gravett in fourth on 100, Luke Mitchell is fifth with 113, and then Jordan Richardson is sixth with 116 points, and Callum Wilson on 119 is 7. That is not a lot of points separating those guys. That can swing around at a moment's notice, I can tell you that. So definitely some good point scoring opportunities here. And of course, some prizes still up for grabs. Of course, the drivers is done. The teams, let's have a quick look over there, because I think Rich has been rather quick with the points here this evening. He certainly has done. Points gap between the two teams. Power Max Racing lead over Rafa Racing by 21 points. Not a lot separating them. It's come down by only 4. And if you can't do the maths, I'll let you know. They need to, of course, get 21, first and foremost. But no, race by race, they need to outscore them by 11 points per race. That is going to take some doing. but the form that Rafa Racing have had, it is something that they are capable of. Having a look at the drivers' chat, getting a little peek behind the curtain. We've had, I think, Scott Mitchell-Marm saying that he had some bad damage after a couple of laps in, as he had to work out how to adjust that and find the time in the car. He did so rather well in the end, I would argue. Managed to finish there in 8th. Darren Wright, he had a 45-degree left-hand down from a lap number 1 crash. So if you can imagine that, you're tilting your wheel quite aggressively to the left to make sure you're driving it straight. And Matt Richards here saying about the pedals getting a little bit sticky. And that could have been a reason as to why he was losing so much time over Tom Stevens. But of course, had to really put the defensive moves in to keep Fraser Hart at bay. That could have been down to it there, though. He was saying it also made it quite difficult to stop. I can definitely understand that. Well, either way, drivers will make their adjustments. They'll all jump over to the next race. And we will get ready rather shortly again for race number 2 here at Brands Hatch. About 10 seconds left on the clock, I'm being told. So we'll be up and running in no time at all, as we do get these fantastic camera shots of the circuit itself. I think we should give some praise to rFactor 2. I mean, the simulator, of course, I think it released 2013, so it's 13 years old, and I would argue the graphics still hold up in the modern day. It really is quite a feat, shall we say, to get it so right back then and keep it going right up to the modern day. Of course, they now have their Le Mans Ultimate. It's their next iteration, but it's very similar physics, if not almost identical. But they don't have touring cars like rFactor 2 does, and that is what we're here to witness, because that is what we love to see go racing. As they are now all on their starting blocks and about to get ready for the warm-up lap. Positions will be based off of where they finished in race number 1, and of course the ballast will be applied as well. So the top 5 there in Tom Stevens, Matt Richards, Fraser Hart, Cedo Via, and Luke Mitchell managed to sneak in there at the end as well. That's your top 5, and of course they'll have ballast from 50 kilograms down to 10 being added on. So let's see how that changes things here then for race number 2. Luke Mitchell did have a little bit of balance there for race number 1 as well, so I actually think he has a little bit less this time. He had 30 kilograms for race 1, he's now got 10. Clearly still had buckets of speed. As this is very much feeling like a parade lap then for Tom Stevens. But he is still going through the motions, getting ready for the race itself. He's making a rather quick job of this formation lap as well. Fraser Hart and Cedo Via, Brabham Motorsport, 3rd and 4th. I think Hart getting probably frustrated at this point with this circuit. He seems to be stuck behind everybody. He's stuck behind somebody every time he comes here. And as they now are coming up to the start finish, and we'll get into their spots. This is a good chance for Cito Via to try and pick up a podium here. Of course, we'll get the reverse grid. We don't know how many spots that will be by the time we get towards the end of this race, between 6 and 12. As we start to pick up the stragglers, shall we say, towards the back of the field. Last car there in Sarima. Sorry, that's Michelin just getting up there. Sarima's already made to the grid. But eyes looking forward now, because we're going to get another race start here this evening. Everyone's in their spots, so they'll all be getting ready to hit that gas pedal hard to the floor and try and get the best launch they can. Green conditions here then for race number 2, and another brilliant start from the pole sitter. Tom Stevens gets away cleanly, and Matt Richards once again will slot in behind, as Fraser Hart and Cedar Via also getting away rather neat and tidy. Luke Mitchell is going to come under threat from Callum Wilson, and Scott Mitchell-Marm trying to stick a nose in there as well for good measure, all making their way through Druids neat and tidy. Carl Benton a bit further back, he's holding on to the 9th. Richardson has lost the spot to Mitchell-Marm there at the start, as Chris Gravett is trying to find his way up, as that's cars way off down the back. Benton off, I think that was Messina off as well, way into the grass, as they will have to slowly make their way back to the black tarmac. There's big position losses from those guys. But everyone else getting away rather cleanly. We've already got a single file line emerging. I'll say that as Mitchell-Marm looking to gain another spot, and he has done, getting past Callum Wilson for Rafa Racing. This is crucial here. This is what Rafa Racing really need, and Power Max cannot give it up lightly. So Callum Wilson fights his way back through ahead of Mitchell-Marm again, retakes that 6th spot, and that is exactly what he needed to do there. And this will allow Richardson to hopefully try and squeeze his way back through. Of course, Mitchell-Marm not picking up any points for the team currently, as Stevens and Mitchell will be the ones doing that. But if he can get ahead of the Power Max guys, one of those cars is a point scorer for them. And so the further he can push them back, the better for his team, as he's really under pressure here from Richardson. They're going to be side by side through Paddock Hill and now into Druids. Mitchell-Marm going to show him the edge of the circuit, and defended that rather nicely. Holds on to 7th. As a bit further back here, Gravett has found a few positions off the starting blocks already, up to 10th, and now he's got Jordan Hyde in front of him. Going to try and dispatch him as quick as he can, and then make some inroads in towards the faster guys at the front of the field. Stevens still your leader, from Richards, from Hart, not a lot separating them. Wilson having a look there with Via for, sorry, not Wilson, Mitchell there having a battle with Via for 4th a bit further, and I think he may have found his way through as well. Yes, he does. No, they're still going side by side. Look at that, a bit further back. They're still going at it on the slight back of the screen. We're still focused here with the front 3, because there is nothing separating them. Via back through though for 4th. Stevens, Richards and Hart, no change. That's a 5-car battle back there. Stevens still leading from Richards after the 2nd lap. That's wide from Richards. Yeah, immediately ducks to the inside to defend it from Hart. He knew he would be there or thereabouts with that small error through the gravel. Didn't need to defend it all that hard in the end, but nonetheless did the right decision. Holds on to 2nd still. This is between Rafa and Power Max here, of course. Two drivers from both teams. Rafa still in the better position as it sits. This is on board, I believe, with Callum Wilson, I want to say. It's hard to tell from that onboard view, but it certainly was, as that is going to be Mitchell-Marm trying to take it around the outside of Hawthorns through Westfields now, and Wilson back ahead once again. They really are bullying Scott Mitchell-Marm there in the middle of the pair of them. Gets the position but can't keep it as of yet. Tried everything that they can. That was wide from Jordan Hyde there in the background. As Gravett, of course, did find his way through because he's on the back of that little group. This is back up front. Stevens, Richards and Hart, your top three. Still no change. Is this the chance though for Fraser Hart? He looked to have a little sniff down the inside, but Matt Richards covers him off comfortably, just about I would say. So no way through for Fraser, still sitting third. Because this is Richardson, I wanted to say, but I can't see Richardson on my timing tower because this is in fact Wilson going at it. What has happened to Richardson, I wonder? He's down in 21st position. He's not even on the timing tower at the moment. Something clearly has happened to Jordan Richardson, which means he is so far down the order, you would argue he's out of this race at this point. But it means that Callum Wilson is all on his own fighting the Rafa Racing team, and particularly Scott Mitchell-Marm, because Luke Mitchell up ahead has finally found a way past Cedar Via for 4th position. I say that as he's still trying to fight back at him. Side by side, rear wheel to front wheel as that was wide, or just about collects it up for the corner. Luke Mitchell though losing a ton of time, and his teammate now in Mitchell-Marm is right up there alongside him. Are they going to go for the switch? It doesn't look like it. No. So I'm getting told in my earpiece, Richardson has pitted. What has happened to Richardson to cause him to make a trip through pit lane, I wonder? There's further confirmation, being told potentially a drive-through for Richardson. But that could be a bit of a disaster for the Power Max team, and not what they needed, because now they're under threat from Chris Gravett here. Because Callum Wilson, of course, is the second scoring car in that team. And if he loses more positions, it's going to be even harder for them to hang on to that team's championship. Top three, still no change. Cedar Via, Luke Mitchell, still no change. Mitchell-Marm is 6th, he's up 2 from the starting blocks. Wilson is down 1. Chris Gravett, unsurprisingly, up 5 positions now in 8th place. Jordan Hyde has gained 1, and so has Matthew Williams. He's gained 4, and that's your top 10 rounded down, or rounded up, I should say. Oh, Benton further down the order. I think he may have even retired potentially. No, he's still in this race and going strong. Just off the timing tower in 22nd. And after heroic race 1, it's turning into a bit of an abysmal race 2 for him. You can see there, Jordan Richardson just jumped onto the timing tower now. He's 20th. And further down the order, as that's one of the Rocket Unlimited Esport cars. That's going to go down the inside. That's Simon Trebek there, taking 10th spot away from Matthew Williams. Going to have to defend it here into Druids though. Alan Smith lurking, waiting for his opportunity to try and pounce. Of course, Dave Brewster able to close in a little bit from all the battling from that. This is Fabian Michelon and Alessandro Cappa. Michelon up 9 spots after, I don't know what happened to him in race number 1 in fact, but he was right there around that top 10 sort of mark, or P10 mark I should say, and then of course absolutely just dropped down the order and out of the race effectively. Making a good strong comeback though. He's in a spot there where he could get close or potentially start thinking about a reverse grid if it's maximised. But he still has a little bit of work. Fraser Hart still with work, of course. He's still there in 3rd spot behind Matt Richards. Tom Stevens hasn't run away with it though. So slight change up. Richards clearly able to sort his pedals out in the the brief warm-up interim between races. Obviously needed to do so as well. This is going to be an interesting one. The Rafa Racing team, they are one behind the other, and it clearly looks like there is no team orders, or maybe that was a defensive move from Mitchell Marm to keep Wilson at bay behind. I'd argue Luke Mitchell has been looking the stronger of the two so far this evening, and of course is taking the fight to Cido Via. Mitchell Marm has fought his way back valiantly. As we get to just over 12 minutes left in this race, still over halfway to go. So we get this lovely onboard shot, going for the old switcheroo there on Via, but not able to make anything of it as Mitchell Marm round the outside. He's going to take that position away, and this is what I was wondering, are they going to have some in-team fighting between the pair of the Rafa boys as that's on the grass for Mitchell Marm? How did he hang on to that one? I do not know. That's going to mean that Wilson got a bit boxed in, nowhere for him to go. Brevet is now alongside, and he's going to try and pick up that spot away from Wilson through Clark Curve. And I think Wilson has just about managed to hang on to it. A flash of the lights there in disbelief, probably. As Mitchell Marm still hung on to 6th spot, and this is not over between these two. Chris Brevet round the outside, a dip in the gravel. He's still there though. I doubt he's going to be able to pull it off, but he's going to certainly give it a try. Deep rub into Druitt and attack over. Callum Wilson hanging on to 7th. There's a couple of drivers we don't often see then. This is Carlo Messina and Olivia Krashenovska. Not much separating the pair of them. They're battling there for the last point in this race. This is Jordan Richardson slowly making his way through the back of the field now. He's just past Yaroslav Fides. As we go from back up to the front. Cido Via hanging on to 4th spot. Luke Mitchell still applying the pressure, albeit a bit on and off. He has got his teammate in Mitchell Marm as a rear gunner, hanging on to 6th there and keeping the Power Max driver of Callum Wilson at bay. Oh, this is the moment. This is Fraser Hart. The moment has finally arrived for Fraser Hart. He's gone down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. You don't often see a move being pulled off there, but clearly found some overspeed and has made it work. He's gone into Druitt's defensive line, hung onto it as well, and has finally managed to get past and dispatch Matt Richards for 2nd position. Fraser Hart is now in 2nd. He's waited so long, an entire race and a half in fact, but has finally managed to find the spot. It's now a question of, can he hang on to it? The gap is gonna, I think, steadily increase as Matt Richards is struggling a little bit out there for pace compared to these two guys at the front. As we're going to get a replay, this is how it all unfolded then. Matt Richards, he's gone wide and then he's opened the door up for Fraser Hart. He didn't need a second invitation. Straight through, slam dunk overtake, and it just happened to be so easy in the end for Fraser Hart. Tricky corner, but did make it look effortless. Well, I imagine the Rafa Racing team boys here are going to want to look to be doing the same on Hart's teammate, Cido Via. Does that look like a mistake there from Via? It was a mistake down the inside. Is this the chance for Luke Mitchell? Yes, it is. He's alongside. He's got a car there. And is Mitchell Marm able to also take advantage? Potentially. Luke Mitchell, though, has now finally found a way through. It came from a mistake from Via, but he's got the position. P4 for Luke Mitchell. Can Scott Mitchell Marm find a way past as well and make things even better for the Rafa Racing team? Of course, Mitchell Marm doesn't need to do it, but if he can, it just helps out that little bit more for Luke Mitchell in that he doesn't have to worry so much about the guy behind sending an absolute stormer down his inside. They're going to be side by side. Is Mitchell Marm just about on the circuit? Via is still there as well, and I think he's just about pulled ahead. Yes, he has. Wilson almost getting alongside. Just had to back out of it at the last minute, and Chris Brevet also trying to have a little look if there is a spot available. This is Callum Wilson riding on board with him here into Clark Curve. Defensive line there from Mitchell Marm, and rightly so, because Wilson will absolutely go on the offensive should the opportunity arise towards Paddock Hill Bend. No way were they thinking of 3 wide there, but it looked like it could have happened for a brief moment. And taking differing lines and all coming out unscathed. Chris Brevet looking around the long way, and of course, as we know, no way through for him. Simon Trebek's having an absolute stellar race number 2 here. Of course, he had a moment in race 1 which dropped him all the way to the back of the field. He's climbed his way back up somewhat, and he's had another brilliant run here. He's up to 9th, 7th positions gained. As this battle is still not over between Mitchell Marm and Callum Wilson. 6 minutes on the clock, and all we can hope for is that it doesn't end in tears. Brewster now ahead of Alessandro Cappa. I thought Cappa may have had a bit of a pace deficit to these guys in race number 1, but he's gone off the road, and now he seems to be stuck here. Dave Brewster, this is the 12th spot, so Dave Brewster having as well also a brilliant night of racing. Is this the chance here? It's going to be Wilson ahead of Mitchell Marm as we get towards turn 1. Brevet is also through. It's the switch back on for Mitchell Marm. It well could be. He's got a wheel alongside Chris Brevet. He's going to try and squeeze him into the apex. Still there though, side by side at the exit of Druids now. And Mitchell Marm, he may have to give this one up, but I guarantee he's not going to want to do that. With an excursion through the grass, and he had no choice. Callum Wilson needed that for the Power Max team. And Mitchell Marm unable to defend it, unfortunately, but what made it worse was the fact that Brevet also made his way through, so Mitchell Marm can't mount an immediate counter-attack. This is the battle for 4th between Luke Mitchell and Cito Via. As we've got 4 minutes left in this race, and I'm sure at some point soon we will work out how many is going to be on that reverse grid. I fear for Mitchell Marm, he used up too much of that tyre early on defending. Because now there's a little bit of a gap opening up between himself and Gravette. He's there or thereabouts, but he looks as though he's just dropping a little bit of pace now as we get into the closing stages of race number 2. Should anything happen, of course he will pick it right back up. Chris Gravett here, closing in on Callum Wilson. The Rafa boys will absolutely be willing him on. This is really close stuff, bumper to bumper now as they make their way into Stirling's and now towards Clark Curve. Not normally an overtaking corner as it's not a heavy braking zone, but you're really looking to line everything up, get a good exit and potentially have a look into turn number 1 of Paddock Hill, or more likely turn number 2. Defensive goes Wilson. Gravet's going to try and do it the long way around. This is going to be some overtake should he pull it off. He's still there side by side as they go through the exit of Paddock Hill. Still going to be going the long way for it into Druids, and this is normally where the attack ends because of the nature of the corner. Look at that, almost as if I knew it would happen that way. Chris Gravet unable to make that position. As we have been confirmed, the top 9 are going to get reversed. So all the way down to Simon Trebek, going to be flipped for the final race here this evening, and of course the final race of this season. It really has been a nail biter, and the team's championship is still up for grabs. The way it stands, Rafa Racing closing that points deficit just a little bit further, getting into this final round, and that's where it's all going to come into play. And of course that reverse grid is where it's going to shake things up. Here is still the battle for 6th position, and Callum Wilson desperately needs to hang on to that spot if he can. 1 minute left, 1 lap left in this race. Tom Stevens, we haven't seen much of him here for race 2, your champion, but that's because he's got a 2.5 second gap to Fraser Hart, who equally has a 2 second gap to Matt Richards. Luke Mitchell 4th still with Cedar Vire, and this is the battle for 6th, and Chris Gravet trying to do it the long way again, no way through as Mitchell Marm's going to try and sneak down. He's inside for turn 2 as it becomes outside for turn 3. Little bit of door banging, and it's all okay because they're all facing in the right direction still. Oh, it's a late lunge there from Mitchell Marm into the 30s, and he's got the move done. What a fantastic overtake there from Scott Mitchell Marm right on the last lap of this race, and I don't think Gravet has a chance to retake that spot now. What an opportunistic move, what a dive bomb you could argue from Mitchell Marm, but he got it stopped and got it done on the road. Brilliant overtake there. I don't think he's going to be able to get up to Wilson, but I could be wrong. That's Richardson! Oh dear. That, I would imagine, is definitely going to equate something from the stewards, but that was Fabio Michelon, unfortunately, darting off the road and having just another nightmare of a race there in the end. We've already seen the leaders cross the line. We're still looking at this battle here, though. It's going to be a drag to the finish, but Wilson does take the checker flag first ahead of Mitchell Marm. Not that it mattered for Mitchell Marm, because Stevens and Mitchell are the point scorers for the team. Fraser Hart was 2nd, Matt Richards was 3rd, Luke Mitchell, Cedo Vire 4th and 5th, as we got the few last remaining cars coming down at the back of the field. That looks like Carl Benton's car. So that's going to be Michelon and Krasanovska. And Wright is going to put it right into the barrier. Oh, go on, roll it. Very nearly. Just to end off the race, why not? And right down at the back here. Last few corners for Alan Axon. Race number 2 not going the way that he wanted. Rounding the final corner then, up to the line, Alan Axon finishes off race number 2 for us at the Pro Touring Esports Championship here on T6 Motorsport. And let's have a look at those results then for race number 2. Your winner, though, as we already know, is Tom Stevens. Fraser Hart did manage to pick up second place in the end, and Matt Richards rounds out that podium for third. Luke Mitchell is fourth with Cedar Via in fifth, and Rafa Racing have closed that gap ever further then in the team's championship. Callum Wilson is sixth with Scott Mitchell-Marm seventh. Gravette is eighth. Trebek is ninth and will be your reverse grid pole. And Jordan Hyde rounds out that top 10. 11th is going to be Alan Smith with Alessandro Kappa 12th. Dave Brewster and Carlo Messina 13th and 14th. And Jordan Richardson managed to climb back up to 15th after we think he had a drive-through penalty. Alexander Sarima is 16th with Carl Benton 17th. Fabian Michelon 18th. Krasinovska 19th. And Darren Wright rounding out that top 20. And the last few, Yaroslav Fives, Alan Axon, Matthew Williams, and Stuart Rolfe with a DNF. It's a shame there for Rolfe. He had a real good result there for race 1, and race 2 looked pretty strong at the start, but no, alas, no finish for Stuart. Well, everything has, of course, led up to this moment in this series. We have only got one race left, as sad as that may sound. But don't worry, because we have enjoyed every minute of this series. And for one final time, these guys, of course, will go hard racing. And we can see where everything shakes out. Of course, Brands Hatcher, I mentioned it already. Absolute fantastic venue to finish off a series like this. It really has that natural amphitheatre effect. You get various vantage points, of course, if you're there for real life, and probably one of the best loved circuits, I would say, in the British Isles. I think from a driver's perspective, it is very much a beloved circuit, and I think because of that natural amphitheatre effect, the fans love it as well. So it really does give a good vibe around here. As I am frantically refreshing the points page to work out what the gap is between Powered Max Racing and Rafa Racing. I'll just have to be patient, of course. But either way, I'm eager to get the news out to you guys because, of course, we know that gap has dropped down. I could try and do the maths, but I am no human calculator like you, and I don't know how that boy does it. He's just able to do sums and look at the numbers and just immediately, snap of the fingers, he's got it. Really is an impressive skill. Something that I lack. As Rich is also telling me he also lacks it. So we are both relying on the computers to get this thing done for us. As I can hear some engines roaring, and that tells me only one thing, that some cars are back out on the circuit and getting warmed up for this final event. Well, it looks as though the points have been updated. Chris, let's do the drivers. Gravette is on 100 and sorry, that's the gap. I apologise. Gravette is on 264, and then a gap back to Luke Mitchell, 255. So there's 9 points separating those guys. There's a further 9 back to 6th in Callum Wilson. And then a little bit further back, another 6 points to Jordan Richardson in 7th, who's on 240. That could, like I say, that could still change between a few of these drivers. Of course, the ones that matter the most to them is the 4th and 5th spot. The likely one that would change is between Gravette and Mitchell, or Mitchell and Wilson, depending on how those battles turn out. I think Richardson in 7th might be a little bit too far out of this, but either way, still a chance there up for grabs. As we look over to the important one now in the team standings, and what is the gap, dear oh dear. Powered Max Racing, 693 points. Rafa Racing, 680. Do the quick maths, 13 points gap. So, it's been closing, well, it really has been closing round after round from the new year. And yeah, it's fantastic that it does come down to the final race to see who's going to take home that team's trophy and that prize pool of £100. It's going to be really interesting. The reverse grid to just shake things up, make it a little bit more interesting, because it means that they're going to have to work their way through the field to maximise their points. If you're watching on at home, of course we will get to the racing once again very shortly, but do give us a little wave in the chat. Let us know how things are going on your end. Hope you're enjoying everything so far. We have one more exciting race coming your way to close out the series, and of course to close out this chapter on the 2026 season, 25-26. Definitely has been some highlights up and down the field. Of course, we thought at the very start, we thought we were going to get a showdown between Richards and Hart, and that just didn't turn out that way. Ended up being Tom Stevens and firing out the blocks, and has just been getting win after win after win. I can tell you the driver's stats. He's got 13 wins to his name. One more tonight, he'll be on 14. And when you have a 24 race calendar, shall we say, of course 9 rounds, 3 apiece, that is quite an impressive tally of wins. It's over half. That's insane. He's won over half the races this season. That really is an impressive tally. He's got 2 Grand Slams, 2 hat tricks, 3 pole positions. Matt Richards, 5 wins, 2 poles, 6 fastest laps compared to Stevens' 2, 1 hat trick and 1 Grand Slam. The only 2 drivers to get a hat trick or a Grand Slam into Stevens and Richards. So I look at the stats as well, just to give you some random ones out there. The lowest driver position, as in like in the championship, Matthew Williams is the lowest driver to have a win next to his name. The next lowest is Scott Mitchell-Marm in 9th, and Matthew Williams is 18th. So just let that one sink in. 9 positions between the pair of them. But yeah, that was a fantastic win there for Williams when he did pick that one up. So I can now see a full grid on the circuit as they pull away then for one last time here at the Pro Touring Esports Championship, and the final warm-up lap of the season, led of course by Simon Trebek, the Unlimited Esport driver. He'll be looking to try and see how many positions he can hang on to, and if he can hang on to that first position, then happy days for him. He'll be over the moon then if he can do that this evening. But he has got 8 incredibly fast drivers behind him. Gravett, Mitchell-Marm, Wilson, Via, Mitchell, Richards, Hart and Stevens. Second down to 9, of course. And those 8 drivers are the drivers that have sort of been running away with it this evening in terms of the race pace. So Trebek is going to have his work cut out for him. Of course, we're going to get the ballast again for Stevens and Hart. There'll be the 50 and 40. Richards, Mitchell and Via, 30, 20 and 10 kilograms all added to their cars. Clearly didn't seem to matter all that much to them. But nonetheless, they've now got to work their way through a field of cars, so it may play a little bit more of a factor for them. My advice here, keep an eye on Mitchell Marm, because he's been definitely one of the more aggressive drivers when it comes to starts, but he's also been one of the best drivers at getting away off the blocks. That's going to be the guy there in third, behind the Rocket Unlimited Esport car. That's going to be my bet of which one to keep an eye on here at the start. So we now got the few cars at the back. Stuart Rolfe joins us once again to make it a 24-car grid. Don't know which extra driver we picked up along the way, but it says we have. Either way, there's the klaxon, and it is about to turn green. There they are, away once again. Poor start from Trebek. He's going to be swallowed up immediately by Gravette. Mitchell Marm boxed in though, nowhere to go. Just going to have to get there and hope for the best, as Callum Wilson's going to try and steam round his outside. Gravette's gone deep and wide into the grab, not going to allow the drive to try and get through. Trebek still holding the lead then as they make their way into Druids. Gravette fighting back past Wilson and retakes that third spot, but Mitchell Marm is definitely up into second position there. More fighting further down the order then. That's Kyle Benton getting past, I believe, Dave Brewster, as there's cars off in the back facing the wrong way. Messina's round. Wright is dropping down the order as well. Krasanovska's made some positions there early on from that. I think Fide's also caught up in there. This is the top four. They've just darted off from the rest. And that's Trebek, Mark, and Wilson. Mitchell leads the second little field here of Richards in 6th via 7th. Stevens has found a position up to 8th. And where is Luke Mitchell? He's 5th. So all the Rafa cars are there. Richardson's found his position up in 13th, 2 off the starting blocks. So here he's got a lot of work cut out for him to try and fight his way through, to try and support his teammates. At the moment, Mitchell Marm is doing what he needs to do, and Luke Mitchell, of course, getting the big points there for the Rafa team. Matt Richards is currently the... Wilson is currently the highest scorer of the power. Max Richardson 6th. That is another car off there. That is Kappa by the looks of things, going wide onto the grass. Rather odd spot as well to go onto the grass out of that final curve so late on through the Brabham Straight. Jockeying for position up and down the field still. Really has not settled down just yet. That's Alan Smith tucked up behind Tom Stevens there in 9th. Jordan Hyde losing out in the opening few corners. Fraser Hart not having the start he was looking for. He's down in 10th. As that, I believe, is Matt Richards trying to look for a move around the outside of Luke Mitchell. No way through though by the time they get to Hawthorne. Vauxhall Astra really does seem to struggle on the straightaways. But through the corners, they somehow seem to hook it all up, and through the corner they go once again, as that is going to be Richards able to get the better of Luke Mitchell through Sheen Curve. He's fighting it back incredibly hard, is Luke Mitchell, in towards Clark Curve now. That is position lost for him, and Cedo Via trying to make it up as well, as he's also gained that spot, and now his teammate is also going to come through in Tom Stevens. Luke Mitchell, just like that, 5th down to 8th. Smith there, 10th position. Hart's just gone through. Richardson is now on his inside. Advantage will swing back to Alan Smith though for the left-hander of Graham Hill. Giving him a lot of room there, being very generous with the tarmac is Alan Smith. Has the inside line again here for Surtees. Surely you show him where the runoff is. Clearly very, very gentlemanlike from Alan Smith. Giving him plenty of space to go racing. That is Kappa in the background there, darting left and right, trying to find some room. Carl Benton, another good start from him. He's climbed 3 positions there to 14th. As this is for the lead, Simon Trebek losing out to Mitchell Marm. It's a new race leader. Brevet is right there, and Wilson, of course, looking to pounce. Simon Trebek doing a tremendous job so far. 4.5 minutes gone, and he's still right there at the sharp end of things, so he has not sunk like a stone in water. Clearly has some pace. He was looking good race 1, so I mean, why wouldn't he have some pace? That's just all that Brevet needed though. Down he's inside into Druids. Position gone. Trebek 3rd. Now looking to defend from Wilson there. He doesn't want to drop any further that quickly. Is this the chance though for Wilson? Down towards Surtees, goes to that inside line. It's going to be a little bit of a block past almost. Going to show him where the edge of the road is, definitely. Trebek though still trying to fight back, but not able to do so. Wilson up into 3rd now, as he's got Matt Richards, 5th position, right behind him. This is a bit further back. Jordan Richardson there in 10th now. Fraser Hart is just a little bit further ahead out of shot. Then you've got Alan Smith in 11th, Jordan Hyde 12th, lost another position at some point during that. Kappa, Benton, Saraima currently 15th. This looks like it could be a result there for Alexander. Position still up for grabs. He's still very much in that race. Make their way through turn number 1 for lap number 4. No further changes thus far. This is on board with Cedo Via. Let's see how this is unfolding for Matt Richards. Simon Trebek, the car in front of him. That's the black Unlimited Esport car. He's following him through thus far. Probably looking to try and get a better exit, but this is where the Vauxhall struggles, is on the straights. Seems to lack a little bit of top end. He has, of course, the battery to just help top it up with a little bit of extra speed, but it's not ideal. Darts to the right does Matt Richards, confident under braking, makes that move and keeps it on the road for good measure. What a fantastic move there by Matt Richards, takes 4th position away from Simon Trebek. Nothing he could have done there about that one. Tom Stevens on Cedo Via. This is the battle for 6th spot. Currently, as it stands, I think the Power Max Racing team are doing enough to hang on to that team's championship. Mitchell Marm, of course, leading this race so far, with Wilson and Richards in 3rd and 4th, and Stevens the next best Rafa car in 7th. I don't think that's a big enough points haul to overturn it. Oh, that's a car round! Who was that into the braking zone? I think it could have been Fraser. Did he save that? There is no way he caught that slide. That is absolutely impeccable driving skill to save that. I thought he was facing the complete wrong direction, but blow me, proves me wrong, and I can't believe he's still on the road. Fantastic stuff. I'd love to get a replay of that one if we could, because I really thought that was curtains there for Fraser Hart. I don't know how he saved it. We can't get a replay of it, unfortunately, but we saw the snippet. What an absolute save. Race not over though. It's not even halfway done. This is the battle between Tom Stevens and Luke Mitchell. I wouldn't call it too much of a battle because they're obviously working together. They'll be looking to try and get past Cedo Via and Simon Trebek, who is slowly dropping down the order. He's 5th currently. figured that was probably going to happen for him, though. He has shown some pretty decent pace out there. 1:28.3 is his best lap. That matches the likes of Cedo behind. And it is in fact faster than Matt Richards and Tom Stevens and Luke Mitchell's fastest laps. So Trebek clearly has some pace, and of course it's no slouch. I mean, we knew that anyway, but even with the likes of these guys around him, pressure on, he's still up to the task. Towards Hawthorne Bend, still line astern for these guys. Matt Richards leading this little pack. The Rafa team really need to start looking to make some inroads if they really want to keep this team championship alive. Tom Stevens looking very racy there behind Cedo Vaya. He's bumper to bumper, practically pushing him down the straight towards Clearways now and into Clark Curve. No way by then for Tom Stevens. Still, he's going to try and look and go up and under though. Can he get the drive out of the corner? That is the question. Has he got enough of a car alongside? No, he doesn't. And now his teammate is having a little bit down the inside of him. That's Luke Mitchell on Tom Stevens into Paddock Hill Bend. What a move there by the two Rafa team, the boys. Brilliant stuff to keep it on the road. And what a move there by Luke Mitchell. This is Jordan Hyde getting it mixed in and amongst the other boys there. Carl Benton as well. Benton, I think they're just lost out there. It is Alexander Sarina there, P15. Looking like he could pick up a few more positions here as well this evening. If he can do that, I think he'll be very happy indeed. Currently, hasn't finished inside the top 10 at all. He only has a few points to his name, so it could be a nice big tally for him, should he able to climb a few more positions here by the end of this race. And with Carl Benton making more excursions through the grass, chances could come his way. "10 minutes left on the clock. Rafa Racing need to get a move on if they want to do anything about it. The reverse grid was always going to be the problem for them. They tend to be at the sharp ends, of course, then they have to fight their way through. It is one thing to lead the race and to just put in effectively a bit of a time trial. It's quite another to get some moves. That was a bit of argy-bargy there, door-banging stuff. But they just about managed to get away with it. Sarima still looking to pick up the positions. Carl Benton seems to be quite the aggressor when it comes to his overtaking, and particularly with his starts, but that is what I think I have come to love about him, in my opinion. He's been quite a watch, shall we say, with his opening laps. In a good way, I will add. Simon Trebek still holding fifth for the moment, and Cedo Vea looking to try and make the move. Matt Richards has not gone darting off down the road, which is quite surprising. That Vauxhall really does seem to be struggling then for the straight line speed. Got the two Honda Civics behind in Trebek and Vea. As this is the battle for the lead. It's been raging on pretty much since the start. Mitchell Marmo did eventually get through and he's held on to that, I would say, now for a solid 7-8 minutes of this race. And Gravette still applying the pressure. Wilson just dropping back slightly now then, gap about a second. Mitchell Arm doing what he needs to do though for Rafa Racing if they want a chance at that team's championship. This is on board with Via then, behind Trebek's Civic, unlimited car. If Trebek can finish here this evening, I think that may be one of his best results of the season. So he'll be very happy with that indeed, should he be able to pull it off. And so far, it's certainly looking though like he can do that. He's got the pace. Small mistake there on the exit of Sterling's, dip into the grass, but it's not going to cost him too much. He should be able to defend it into Clark Curve. It's now about the drag and the effective drag race down towards turn number 1. He's still ahead there of Cedo Via, so I think he may have got away with that. But this is the chance here for Luke Mitchell. Down the inside, late on the brakes. He's just got a wheel alongside Cedo Via there into the apex of Druids. Via's going to have the advantage coming back towards him into Graham Hill Bend. Still going to be side by side, door-to-door stuff then. Just about pulls ahead then of Luke Mitchell. Will we see a lunge into Surtees like we've seen a few times before from some of the other drivers out there? Not on this occasion. And attack is over then for Luke Mitchell there on this one. Thought he had it done, but Cedo Via fought back valiantly. Six minutes left of the season, 6 minutes left of the final race. Scott Mitchell-Marm still leading. When he took hold of that a few laps in, Chris Brevet is second with Callum Wilson rounding out that podium, and that hasn't changed much at all. Richards is up to 4th and Trebek still holding on to 5th spot. But there is a nice gaggle of cars lined up behind him, ready to take anything should it come their way. This looks like Kyle Benton and Jordan Hyde going wheel to wheel once again into Paddock Hill Bend. Benton taking that defensive line, felt like he needed to. And no way through for Hyde. A little bit later on the brakes, but not quite enough to get alongside. As the camera pans around to this battle, still raging on. 6 cars in this little group here. Simon Trebek, sorry, the lead of it. He's dropped a little bit off the back of Matt Richards now, so 1.5 seconds there. Doesn't have him as a reference marker as such anymore. That'd be what Via needed then to try and get the move done. Equally, Luke Mitchell is incredibly close to the back of that Brabham Motorsport car. It's all about just trying to carry a little bit of that momentum to then potentially make a move. Jordan Richardson's in this fight as well. He's 9th at the second to last car in this little pack. Is that enough there for Mitchell? He's trying to look down the inside of Via. I don't think he's got a car alongside, or at least a tyre. Certainly not, because we can see on board here he is definitely behind through Paddock Hill Bend. Still no way through for the time being. And at this rate, Rafa Racing have put up a fantastic fight and attack on this team's championship, but I think Power Max, if it stays as is, are doing enough. Down the inside, that is going to be Luke Mitchell having a look on Cedo Vea, trying a different corner this time because clearly the others weren't working for him. Still no way through though. And still sitting there for 7th position. Via really knows how to make that car as wide as possible. Defense really is a specialty of his. Simon Trebek, though, clearly knowing how to do the exact same thing. He's held on to fifth now for the majority of this race, I would say, as we are only going to get a few laps left. Gap opening up slightly with the front pack. Mitchell Marm has got 6-7 tenths of a gap between himself and Gravett. Wilson has dropped a bit further back, 2 seconds behind Gravett, and then Matt Richards even further, 2 seconds back, as that was a move there from Via. Is this the chance now for them? Paddock Hill Bend side by side. Trebek's going to have to go real deep on the brakes to try and stay around his outside and alongside him, but no, Via has finally got the move done. Is this what was needed to get the cork out of the bottle? Luke Mitchell is now going to go side by side with Trebek, door banging their way down Cooper Straight and into Surtees. Still side by side. Luke Mitchell, though, unable to keep it there and get the move done. And so Trebek just about fends them off, as here comes then Tom Stevens having a little look on his teammate, but unable to put a wheel alongside him. Slots back into position, and he's just going to have to be patient and hang on for just a little while longer. Clearly the ballast having some form of an effect here. And it does seem to be the case when the drivers have to make their way through a bit of a pack. That's when the ballast really does start to show its ugly head. Stevens just unable to fight his way through. Mitchell, of course, carrying a touch on board, but not as much. As we are on to then the final lap. The gap for the leader is 2 tenths of a second now. So Gravett has closed that right in, as this is going to be an attack here then for Luke Mitchell. Down the inside of Simon Trebek, has finally got that move done there. Weyer is already off into the distance, though. That's going to be, I think, too much of a gap to close. But Luke Mitchell finally gets that spot. Can Tom Stevens follow him? It's not going to mean much, but there is the lunge. Oh, I just couldn't quite get it to the apex first. Trebek hangs on. This is the gap at the front for the lead. Mitchell Marm has lost a little bit of ground and time to Gravett. 3 tenths of a second. Will we see a last lap lunge then? A heroic overtake, potentially. As there goes Stevens. Stevens is through. Simon Trebek unable to hold the champion back. Stevens has found his way through. It may be all for in vain, but either way, he'll be happy with picking that one up. This is it for the lead. 1 corner left then. Who's it going to be? Gravett's going to try and take him around the outside. They're door banging. It's side-by-side stuff. Mitchell Marm still ahead, showing Gravett the grass. It's going to be a drag to the finish. Who's got it? It's Mitchell Marm. He just takes it. 1 tenth ahead of Chris Gravett, just to finish off the season in spectacular style. Wilson come home to take home that podium. Matt Richards is 4th. Via is 5th. Luke Mitchell 6th, with Stevens 7th. Trebek 8th. And here they're still battling further down. Is that Sarima? Sarima gets past Jordan Hyde there on the last lap as well. Richardson 9th. Hart rounds out that top 10. Kappa, Smith, Benton, Sarima at the line, taking Hyde for 14th. Brilliant stuff. As we've got just a few cars left. This is Yaroslav Fides then round the final few corners over the line to bring us home. And of course, Krashenovska. Dear oh dear, what a finale. What a final race that was as well. All the way to the checkered flag. Final car on the circuit. Over the line they go. I tell a lie, that's the final car on the circuit. Fabien Michelon, and he's missing his rear wing. Why not? Over the line he goes. Well, there we have it. Final race of the season. And these are the results. Scott Mitchell-Marm will hold off Chris Gravett for the win there by, I believe, about 1/10 of a second, less than 1/10 of a second for the win. Callum Wilson rounds out that podium in third, with Matt Richards, Cedo Via fourth and fifth. Mitchell, Stevens, Trebek, Richardson and Hart, your top 10. Further down the order, when we get there, Alessandro Kappa comes home in 11th with Alan Smith 12th, Benton 13th, and Sir Reimer there pops it up into 14th position for the final round of the season. Jordan Hyde will have to settle for the final point scorer in 15th. Dave Brewster, Alan Axon, Darren Wright, Yaroslav Fives, and Krasinovska, your top 20. And down further the order, Matthew Williams, Fabian Michelon, Carlo Messina, and Stuart Rolfe. And once again, did not finish. Real shame there for Stuart Rolfe in the final race, but he's had a few there where he struggled throughout the season. But season has come to a close. I think we can safely say and congratulate our team's champions as well in the Power Maxed Racing. I am almost certain that they are not going to be able to overturn that gap between them based off where they finished. But of course, your driver's champion as well there in Tom Stevens. Of course, won it here after the first race this evening, but fantastic result for him. Fantastic season for him. And he really did deserve it. And I'll tell you what, we'll bring him in because he's in the waiting room. Let's have a chat with your PTEC champion, Tom Stevens, everybody. How are you feeling, Tom?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, thanks.
I'll tell you what, of course, it was one after race number 1. I mean, it must have made race 2 and 3 a lot easier for you.
I mean, I know I said earlier on that I was going to be a bit more careful, but treat it like any other race. Well, at the start of race 1, I was just properly going for it, just going for any move, and yeah, had a really good time in race 1, battling Fraser and Matt. It was really good close racing, but yeah, I mean, after race 1, I knew the pace was there, so the pressure was off, but immediately the focus has switched to the team's championship. But yeah, I just want to say it's been good fighting Matt this season. He's a really good driver. It's been a pleasure, and congrats to PMR for winning the teams. I believe they've won it. They've been the team to kind of beat since the start, so great job to them. And yeah, this season couldn't have done it without all the hard work from Luke and Scott. So big shout out to those two as well. It's been a real team effort. Really enjoyed this championship, and yeah, thanks to Rich and everyone else for organising as well.
Absolutely. I mean, brilliant words there, Tom. Thanks for that. And of course, well done as well to yourself. I mean, it looks like the provisional points, looking at it, team standing, I think you missed out by 11 there to the Power Max Racing. I mean, is there anything maybe you would have changed earlier on in the season or hoped that could have gone different that may have overturned that? But I mean, fantastic fight back to get it that close.
I mean, look, it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, you have your good weekends, you have your bad weekends, and they all count equally towards the championship in the end. Something I could have changed, well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the first round, so maybe there could have been a difference there. But apart from that, yeah, as I said, you have your good races, you have your bad races. I'm sure the PMR guys, they've had their equal fair share of bad luck, so fair play to them for coming out on top. But before the winter break, I kind of was looking at the tables and I was like, yeah, I think we're about P3 in the teams. It would be tough to catch Brabham and then really tough to catch PMR. But coming into this year, we just got a new lease of life, like some amazing form, and we've just managed to take the fight all the way to the end. But yeah, not quite got it, but yeah, it was a good run.
Certainly was. I wonder if the FIA might look at those cars after, because it seemed like they put a rocket in it. But no, in all fairness and honesty, well done, Tom. Congratulations on the championship once again, and well done to the team there as well.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. I'll let you go and enjoy the celebration. Lovely. Tom Stevens, your champion, everybody. We've got a few more in the waiting room here this evening. This is a nice surprise here to end off the season. And we'll take the final race winner of the season as well then in Scott Mitchell-Marm. Scott, I mean, you got to feel pretty good after that one. Of course, the race win. Just missing out on the teams, though. I mean, what are your emotions right now?
Yeah, very, very bittersweet. It's really nice to sign off with the win. Chris made me work really hard for it. He's been super fast this evening, and was unlucky in race 1. So for him to come back was really strong. Yeah, it's nice to. It always obviously felt like a long shot coming into the evening, but going into race 3, the way it was set up, we were talking in the Discord just before, like there was a path to the team's championship, but yeah, it didn't quite come together. But ultimately, Power Max guys have been absolutely superb this season, so can't really begrudge losing out to them.
No, they really have been a worthy adversary, shall we say? I mean, yourself, Scott. Maybe you can talk us a little bit through your season. I think this is the first time we've had you here. Of course, in the start of 26, I feel like that's where the team really turned around. Tom certainly seems to cement that theory. But I mean, talk about it yourself. How's the season progressed for you?
It was a little bit stop-start to begin with. I had to miss a couple of rounds, I think, in the first half of the season due to like work commitments. I just wasn't around to be able to do them. And I had a little bit too many evenings where just like the reality of being a father of 2 kicked in. So I wasn't able to join until just basically qualifying. I had a couple of events where I only had 1 or 2 laps in quali. This evening as well, I had a force feedback problem, so I didn't get out until basically the very last run. So I've had a few too many events like that, a couple of disconnects, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, like really happy with the way the team kicked on, and then just happy to have played a part in that. You know, played Tom's rear gunner at a few events, picked up 1 or 2 wins, I think. So overall, I can't complain, and I'm just really happy we got the drivers' championship for Tom, because he's been so good this season.
Yeah, he really has, and I guess it feels almost like a supporting act, but in a nice way for him, because of course he really did sort of take off once he got going, of missing the first round and jumping in. But I tell you what, Scott, you've been an absolute delight as well, and congratulations on your win tonight. I'm sure you'll go and enjoy it, and I'll let you get going.
Thank you, cheers, and thanks for this season.
Lovely, cheers, Scott. Thanks for being here. Lovely. Well, Scott Mitchell-Malm there, everybody. Your final race winner of the season. And we've got one more here in Fraser Hart. So, Fraser, how is that all going for you? Of course, maybe a more frustrating evening, let's say. But, I mean, the racing looked decent.
Yeah, there was some absolutely fantastic racing out there tonight. Firstly, I was really, really happy to find that pace in quali again. That's been missing a bit in the last few rounds. So to qualify the same way I did at the start of the season, it's a nice way to end it. But it would have been nicer to be able to do that throughout the season. But yeah, in terms of the racing, there wasn't much time spent in clean air apart from in race 2. But yeah, it was really good racing, and I just didn't quite have the pace to get through in race 1. Thankfully, I could get through on that in race 2 and do my best to catch up Tom, but it just didn't quite have the pace in the end to catch the gap.
I don't want to bring it down too much, but what happened there for race 3? It looked like the start wasn't ideal, and then was it just a case of struggling to make your way through?
Yeah, there was a lot of action at the first lap there, and I just found myself a few positions back. There was an air of caution that I was taking. Just there's a championship position to race for, but yeah, it was quite. There's a lot going on that first lap, and I got overtaken a couple of times there, and then from then on I was able to battle definitely with the pack ahead. I was able to keep with them, but ultimately the 40 kilograms of ballast is 40 kilograms of ballast, so that's where the difficulty came from there. But we had some good battles up there for sure.
It certainly hinders you when you've got a bit of added weight in the
Yeah.
car. Doesn't make it easy for yourself. Well, I'll tell you what, for yourself, Fraser, of course, you've had a stellar season, finishing 3rd.
Thank you.
So I'm sure you'll be happy with that nonetheless. I mean, what about the team as well, though? Brabham Motorsport, they've also finished 3rd. Unfortunately, nothing for it, but I mean, still a pretty decent season for them. I mean, is there
Yeah.
anything you would potentially change looking into the next sort of season when you get to it?
I think this season, with myself not being as experienced in these touring cars as some of the drivers on this grid, it was really the biggest changes were just me learning, to be honest, about how best to race these cars, to qualify these cars. So I think the main thing will just be carrying forward what I've learned throughout this season and building on it. I think we've definitely got setups that can perform, as I hopefully showed tonight. So I think it's just building on what we've already got. I don't think we're doing much wrong, to be honest. It's just building up and doing our best to challenge a little bit further forward throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it certainly looked like it started strong, as you said. It did wane a touch, but it looks like you really have found your form here at the end. So you can end it on a high, end it real strong, which is fantastic to see. And still, huge congratulations on the P3, because
Thank
it
you very
is no
much.
mean feat in this field, because they are a tough bunch out there. So well done. And yeah, we look to hopefully see some more from you.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say thank you very much to Rich for putting on such a great championship. It's been an absolute pleasure to compete in this season, and I'm looking forward to what's next. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having
Lovely.
me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Lovely. Thank you for joining us, Fraser. Brilliant to hear
No
from you.
worries. Have a lovely evening.
You too. Lovely. Well, Fraser Hart there. Maybe not the final race he was looking for, but the championship, it certainly was a decent one. And speaking of the championship, that does draw us to a close, but without these lovely people making it possible. So this is also a big, huge thank you for Matt Neal at Team Dynamics, Tommy Watson at Myron Motorsport Management, Kev, Stu and Mike in the British Touring Car chat group on Facebook, and Will from the BAF Motorsport. Of course, Demon Tweaks, Cobra Sport as well, also in there with our sponsors. So huge, big thank you to all of those sponsors out there that do make this championships possible. Huge, big thank you to Rich Weatherall behind the scenes. You never hear from him, but he's always there, and he really does put on a brilliant championship here for the drivers, for the viewers, for everybody. So we do obviously have to send our thanks in the right direction. But that is going to call it quits. And that is everything from us here at the Pro Touring Esport Championship 25 to 26. Tom Stevens, your champion, and Powered Max Racing, your team's champion. So huge congratulations to everybody. And I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as I have. We've all been here for a wonderful ride. In terms of following seasons, we are unsure when that will be. I did see it in the chat, but keep your eyes peeled, because I'm sure towards the latter end of autumn, you'll start to hear some news about it. Maybe. That's up to Rich. But thank you all very much for being here. I've been Ashley Denman. This has been the PTEC Championship on T6 Motorsport. We hope to see you very soon, and goodbye.